we're talking under your roof. You know, it's one thing to know a lot about what somebody does. It's a whole nother thing to know about more of who somebody is.
Here we go. Let's dive right in. Yeah, we got another under your roof. we got the man, the myth, the legend.
I'm telling you, getting him for this.
This was hard.
Dude, this is like Brandon's all over the place, man.
Yeah.
That is accurate.
You're a busy man, huh?
Wrong. Yeah.
Busy or full plate? How would you describe it?
Both. It's a busy full plate. Yeah, that makes sense.
What is the top busiest thing?
Well, when you have a family of three, so I got a son in high school, I got a daughter in middle school, and I got a 4-year-old. So we're all over the spectrum.
Oh, man.
Then I have a wife that's very adventurous, and so I have that. So just in my house alone is busy. And then we're building these things called 10 massive soccer fields behind where we are right now. So that's a slight improvement of keeping me busy. And then just normal ops.
So let me rewind a little bit, Brandon. So like, you do so. You're probably one of the people I respect the most in this community, man. Just your involvement, just your presence, just what you project on others, man. I mean, I see, when you post something, people read because it's just wisdom that you're just spewing out, man. And so, tell us a little bit about like where you're from, where you grew up, what brought you to Abilene, and what led you to where you are today.
I'm originally from Fort Worth, Texas, born and raised there.
What part?
So I'm from a place called actually Lake Como. So not the one in overseas. And Lake Como, when I grew up, was a very tough environment. So all the things that you think of when you hear inner city, that's what it was. So all the stuff. So making it out of there somewhat mindful of success was a journey in itself.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I was able to meet some people. I kind of jokingly say I was in the program of kids that they thought would be a problem kid. So I had a mentor.
Man. Yeah. Come on, bro.
So in 5th grade, so it was super weird. So this guy, they assigned like 12 kids. I'm like, oh, I'm in a special group. This is cool. Well, I didn't know. Anyway, So I'm in this group.
Yeah.
And so my mentor was a doctor. His name was Dr. Langham. And so he's like, hey, let's visit. Let's talk. Let's talk about, these, you like to fight and all this stuff. I'm like, I don't really like to fight. I was like everybody else.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, man, And so I'm in this group and he's talking to me about life skills. He's letting me ride around. He had a Benz. So I was like, man, this guy's big time. Yeah. And because the guys that I knew with Benz is that, in my neighborhood, they were, drug dealers or gangsters of some sort.
Yeah.
And so this guy was a doctor. So he'd drive me around and go like, look, this is where I live at. I'm like, man, this is crazy. People live like this.
Yeah.
And so that kind of just opened up my eyes to what life could be, right? So anyway, fast forward, and he tells me in 5th grade, he says, hey, if you graduate high school, that's how I knew, fast winding back, like, wait, he didn't think, well, they thought I was at risk of not graduating high school. Anyway, so he says, if you graduate high school in the Fort Worth ISD, I will cover your college.
Ooh. Wow.
And so I'm like, not a bad deal. Sounds cool. He said, well, did anybody in your family graduate college? Well, no, I would be the first one. My mom went for a long time and then she had me. So she didn't never finish. But so I do that and we take that trip. Then 10th grade, I end up transferring out of Fort Worth ISD to White Settlement ISD. At the time, I graduated. Obviously, I graduated, and so I reached back out to him. It's like, hey, I graduated.
Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did he hold you to the Fort Worth ISD part, or did he pay for your college?
He did hold me to the Fort Worth ISD part, but he did also help me.
Okay.
He still also did help.
Hey, man.
So
you need people like this.
He did come through. I was like, hey, man, you said I did it, and I had like a 3.0, dude. Let's go. And so he's like, man, congrats. That's awesome. He said, well, where are you going to go to school? At that time, I had zero idea what I was going to do. Ended up applying to, this is kind of the God journey that I was on. If like I applied to ACU and I was like, well, I'll apply here and see what happens. And even how I got there is a God thing. The guy in front of me, we're visiting with our counselor, guidance counselor, saying, well, where are you going to go to school? What's your plans? You're going to go to work? You're going to go to the military? What are you going to do? I said, well, the guy in front of me, who is actually my neighbor, it's super crazy. His name is Brian Stark, and he works for one of the companies here. He said, I'm going to Abilene Christian. And she's like, well, Brandon, where are you going? I said, Abilene Christian. She was like, no way, you're going to the same school as Brian. Like, that's a really small school. I'm like, yeah, that's where I'm going. I didn't even know where Abilene was. I had no idea about Abilene, anything, no idea. And
It's just like DFW.
I'm like, Abilene, where is that at? If somebody would ask me, have you been there? Do you know where it is? No
clue.
idea. No clue. Never
That's
heard
funny.
of it. I never been further than Weatherford. So I had no idea about Abilene. Yeah, never. So I ended up applying to ACU because she was like, well, have you filled out any application? So no. So she gave it to me there. I filled it out. I was like, well, if I get in, I get in, whatever. Well, I get in. And I knew a guy that played at ACU at the time. And so I talked to him about it. It's like, hey, man, what's up? Like, you like Abilene? He's like, yeah, it's cool. But at that time, he was also on probation because he was an athlete. And so I was like, man, why are you on probation for? He ain't getting any detail.
And what year was this, Brandon?
So this is in 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say
2000.
99, 2000.
Yeah. So this is 2000. All this stuff is kind of happening all at the same time. And I have no idea what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go. But I ended up at Abilene Christian, and my life was drastically different after that.
Wow. And so I do, what led you to the nonprofit world? I know AYSA's, Abilene Youth Sports Authority is still pretty young. But you've been the executive director there since the beginning. And so like, you talk about maybe your journey into that nonprofit world and where, in AYSA today.
Yeah. So AYSA has been around actually since 2004. So I was
The fancy building.
Yeah. Okay. The Dodge. Yes, since the beginning. But AYSA was actually led by a guy named John Smith for a very long time. John was big in the community to try to facilitate things. That we used to have what's called a mudslinger. It's basically a big mud run that we would do. A part of that was AYSA's deal. And then we had a thing called the Expo, which we still currently do. And John did that, and he ran like a big volleyball tournament and a couple camps.
Yeah.
That's what AYSA gisted of at that time. And it was him and an assistant. And he did that for a very long time. He had the dream of having a sports complex. And so him and one of our presidents, Chris Seal, they had these ideas of like Abilene could use a big major complex. And so they went to try to go through the bond election in 2008. And the city at that time was not ready for it. And so we shot it down. Like it was bad from a percentage standpoint. It didn't go well. Well, fast forward, the idea comes back up around like 2016. Hey, let's do this sports complex deal, but let's do it privately. Let's do it. Let's go and fundraise for it, and let's see if we can make it happen. Well, we started getting really, really close to the fundraising effort, and John takes ill and drastically passes away.
Wow.
Like just
fast, really quick.
Super fast,
Yeah.
like really fast. I think it was like 2 or 3 months, and he passes. So the board at the time, kind of going backward, I helped John with all of the basketball stuff. Anything basketball I did for AYSA. And so the board, I also work with 3 of our board members' kids privately on the side, helping them with their basketball skills and life skills.
Yeah.
So they asked me to step into the role, and I did not want it at the time. I said, no, at that time I had actually taken a job to go back to the Metroplex. I'd just taken a job when he passed.
Wow.
And after talking with his wife at his services, she talked to me and she said, well, just think about it. What do you do?
Nadine got you.
Yeah.
There's some God stuff right there, man.
What do you do when the widower of a person says, will you please consider it?
At the funeral.
At the funeral.
Who has the total heart of gold?
Yes.
Like she's an incredible. I just saw Nadine.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, ran into her and like, you just.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
So,
incredible people, incredible family.
And you're going, well, okay. Well, at the same time, our president, several people on our board is like, man, you need to consider it. We think you'd be great for this. I'm like, guys, I've already taken the job.
Yeah,
I'm ready. I'm going.
Going home.
I'm leaving. Well, couldn't sleep for 3 days. I'm like, okay, God, got it.
There
I'm
it is.
aware. I'm aware. I hear you. All right. So I call those guys back and say, hey, man, I can't take it. I'm sorry. And they go, wait, what? I said, I've never went back on my word ever. But this is bigger than me, man. Like, it's what I'm supposed to be doing.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because in 2005, God put in my spirit, and I know this years ago, that I need to reach 1 million kids with a ball and faith. They needed to hear about me through this ball. Because, I mean, we know how sports can be. And so it was kind of a full circle thing of like, and I had on my vision board, I wanted a gym with all these things, and I didn't know that it would circle back like it did, like it is right now. And so that's really what got me in the nonprofit world.
Wow.
That's the story.
So and I'm sitting here catching a lot of this. You and I know each other extremely well. We were actually talking before we hit play here. You know a little bit about people.
Yeah.
And you even said, like, it's kind of the guy thing, It's like, hey, I know Cameron. Yeah, I know him. Well, how many kids? Well, I think he's 2. How long's he lived here? Where's he from? Like,
right.
Tell you the truth, don't know.
Yeah.
And so the whole point of this is to get into these. And so it's so, I love how naturally we just went there that quick. But there's some shaping things that marked your life.
For sure.
And you go back to having a vision board and wanting to reach 1 million kids. You go back to this man that invested into your life when you're in the 5th grade.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whether however that shook out is, there was a seed that got planted into you.
Right.
And now you're in that place that you didn't even know you would be at.
No.
But that dream's real. Like, that's in there. And this guy had something to do. And there were others. I'm sure. I guarantee we could go through the list of coaches.
Yep.
Good ones, bad ones. I bet we could go through a teacher or two. I bet you all of the stuff.
Yeah.
Man, what a cool story to know. Like, God's giving you a platform to do what the seed was inside of you to be able to do.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's easy.
No, not
like,
easy
we
at
talk
all.
busy, for you guys who are watching, we kind of went real fast here. Brandon runs Abilene Youth Sports Authority. It's been around now, we know, for a long time. 20, how many years would it be now?
It'll be, what is it? It's 20 years this year. So
20 years. You've been married 19. You've got 3
yeah.
kids. Your whole adult life has been enlaced with this.
Yep.
And right now, just a real short time, when you really put time to it, the gym is only a few years old.
Yep. We opened in 2020.
Yeah. So we're 4 years down the road, and we've got ground broken, and 10 soccer fields?
10 soccer fields.
Which is, football fields, which is 7-on-7. It's not just soccer. You've got, how many people would you say come through in a month's time on average?
So in like summer season, we may see 5,000 people. But throughout the year, we probably see anywhere from 11 to about 15,000 people.
Total. Cut that into some numbers. You're probably talking 10,000 families.
Right.
And what a incredible opportunity. Like, you look at your tent,
Right.
like, hey, where's my tent? Here's your tent. There's thousands of people, and you're a mentor.
Yeah.
You're leading leaders there now, and you've got people that come up underneath what you do, and they're impacting kids, and there's different sports that come through there. Right. And I'm a sports junkie, man. I coach high school football for 11 years. I mean, I go through the same list of people that poured into my life and how it's sort of shaped me. But man, I've always heard some people say, like, a coach will have more impact in a year's time sometimes than maybe an average person may have in their whole lifetime.
That's why I don't go by Mr. Osborne, or I go by Coach
Osborne, or Coach O.
You got to call me Coach O. If someone calls me Mr. Osborne, I know you don't know me.
We got to stop.
That's how I automatically know. Like,
so we got Coach O.
Coach O.
Yeah. People call me Coach V sometimes, which is wild. Like, I've been out of coaching for 11 years. I was in it for 11 years, but I still have that hat. I don't know how you get away from it.
You don't get away from it. If you did a good job, you never get away from it.
Well, and I think, like, my heart's desire is to just, like, know people enough to meet them where they're at.
Right.
And be a source of life and help them take their next step. Like, that's the kingdom, right? Like, we're taught to advance this thing.
Yep.
Whether it's through a platform of sports, or it's through the military, or it's through a nonprofit, or it's roofing, like, Cameron and I are Fat Matt Roofing. Like, we're meeting people in places like where they live. Like, this is where you may spend a lot of time at the gym, but you actually spend more time at home if you count sleep time, depending on
if you count sleep.
Yeah. So,
and depending on what season that is.
So while all this is great, it's not more important than your family.
Nope.
You know, so let's talk about that. Like, we can get back to the AYSA, but what's family look like? How do you do all that?
So, you know, our family, you know, my kids, they're all going to grow up in the gym. That's just kind of where they're going to grow up around other kids. And so they've always, unfortunately, had to share their dad.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's very similar, I think, to like a preacher. You know, a preacher, you always kind of got to share with the congregation. You always kind of share your dad. And fortunately, my wife grew up as a preacher's kid. So she kind of understood the journey of the coach-preacher relationship. You know, if your dad goes somewhere, if her dad goes somewhere, well, it's going to really be about 3 hours before they get to their actual destination, you know, because he's going to talk to, you know, 16 different people that know him and been knowing him forever. And so that's kind of the way it is with my kids. And so we actually have had deliberate conversations of going like, hey, it's not that dad doesn't listen or all this kind of stuff, but these people are important. But always know this, if you have something that you really need to tell me, I'll stop all this stuff to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
So, and I learned that from my father-in-law. He taught me that. He said, man, whenever your kids come to you, all these other people stop.
Yeah.
And you talk to your kids. Regardless, it can be the president of the United States. If they came in and your kid came to you, you talk to your kid. Because ultimately, that's the only unique relationship that you have is dad. Yeah. There's no other. You could be remarried and be a husband to someone else if your wife passes. You can be husband again. You can't be dad to anybody else but them.
Yeah, that's good. Speaking of growing up, you mentioned your mom. You know, she ended up having you when she was in college. That then went that way. Do you have a relationship with your dad?
I do. It's estranged some. I have a stepdad that's a little bit better. And he, you know, he was around. Yeah. But my dad, my actual dad, my real dad, it was kind of we got to know each other later in life. Sure. It wasn't strong at a certain point where I couldn't stand the dude, you know. But I had to go through some forgiveness woes of that and handle that journey in a way that was beneficial for me because I read a lot, kind of going back to my ACU experience. A guy asked me one time, he said, "Do you like to read?" I said, "No, I hate reading. Actually, I hate it. It's one of the worst things to do." He said, "That's unfortunate." And I said, "Well, why do you say that?" He said, "You know the way you hide something from people?" I said, "No, how?" "You put it in the book because they won't read it." And that sparked.
Man, that's good. So have you written a book?
I'm working on one.
Okay, here we
But that's what opened up my whole world to reading.
Wow.
So I bet I've read 2,000 books since.
Wow.
Like I'm just.
And now we're getting in under the roof. Here we go, man. This is good.
It's literally opened up my. I mean, I probably have 500 books now on my Kindle app. Like I just written an.
Who's your favorite author?
So I'm more of a that's tough. So it depends on
what genre. What type of book?
Oh, I'm like leadership stuff. Like leadership, motivation, inspiration stuff. I'm not really the fantasy kind of guy. Sure. It has to be something that I can apply or give to someone or inspire somebody. So, you know, Maxwell's up there. Obvious, John Gordon's up there. And then I just have some one-offs. A guy named Alan Stein. I like his stuff. There's a lot of people. There's tons of authors that I like. I like their style and their approach. Bob Burke, The Go-Giver is one of my favorite books I like to give the kids and tell them about. But Brian McCain. Anyway, I can name a ton.
Yeah, it's good. I know people that have given books to people and put like $200 or $300 bills in the back. Yeah, and then you'll never find them. They're just stuck away.
Kevin Hart tells a story about his mom giving him a Bible and said, "Mom, I need help with my rent." She's like, "Okay, well, here's a Bible." He's like, "I don't want a Bible. Like, I want a Bible. Like, tell me, I need some money. I need help with my rent.
You got to pay rent."
So next month goes, he said, "Mom, they just put an eviction note on my apartment. I need some help." She said, "Have you been reading your Bible?" "Mom, I don't want to hear about no Bible." And he opens up the Bible, and every so many sections was a month's rent check. He never touched his Bible.
Fantastic, man.
And so that's a story that I always remember, and he also kind of has the connotation of read your Bible, you know. Yeah. But that has that comment from that gentleman when I was 20 years old changed the course of my life.
I have had a guy, he was a mentor of mine a handful of years back, and he said, the three of us are sitting right here by the sum total of the people you meet, the places you go, and the books you read.
Yeah.
And I would now take the books you read even a little further into like what you listen to, podcasts, what you feed your mind. But for real, hey, look. So the point is, people you meet, places you go, books you read. If you take any one of those three out, then you got limitations in your life of what God wants to show you, where He wants to put you, plant you, grow you. I mean, it's such a big deal. Yeah. That's so good to know, man. And something that's really needed. And I don't necessarily say I love to read books, but I read them.
Yeah.
Every one you named, I go and start going, yep. The Carpenter, and one of my favorite books by John Gordon, John Maxwell. There's, it's like the same book, but every time it just cuts you up and then edifies you. Like, hey, man, and then you can read enough leadership books that you think, man, I'm the worst leader on earth.
Yep. Well, it keeps you really humble. Like for me, it's like when I'm thinking like, this ain't bad. This is a pretty cool deal. When I pull up to a parking lot and I see, the parking lot's full, I'm like, man, what a great, man, this is awesome. And then you read a book going, how are you leading the next leader?
I forgot about him.
There's more to this.
Here we go. You know, and so, or like one of your, team members come to you and ask you a question. You're going, I don't know.
I know.
More to learn.
Yeah. So on this dad note, I'm so thankful that I've been put in a situation where, having that conversation with men is kind of like a baseline all the time. Mm-hmm. Because, we can talk about God, our faith journey. There's an adversary. There's a reality that if the enemy could take one thing and make it a bad thing, it would be the concept of dad. It's how it started. It's how the whole thing got into motion.
Agreed.
But dad's a good thing.
Yes.
Regardless of how you came up, what it looked like.
Yeah.
DAD is a good thing. Yep. Like our men need to know that. Women need to know that. Kids, gosh, the impact that you're making. And then also, we're a reflection of the Father.
Correct.
And that's the whole point of the thing is if I'm going to advance the kingdom, use my platform in any kind of way, I want them to meet God. Like when somebody gets the reality in their life, whether it's in college or in their 30s, in my case, it was 32, and I got saved. Like my life began to transform.
Yeah.
It's whenever I started seeing God as dad.
Yeah.
And to get that breakthrough, you start then thinking immediately of fatherly figures, good or bad. Right. And if they're all bad, then now dad's not such a good thing. Well, there's the lie. So, it's such a great thing that you're able to do that, man. There's no better call on a life than to be able to do that, I don't think.
And you go through kind of phases, right? I think like when you become a dad, like nothing, right? You're just kind of guessing and hope something sticks, right? The first kid
when you become a dad, or the whole time. I got a 17-year-old, and I'm still like, girl, hey, we're still learning,
right? Well, and then the kids are so different. Like they're from the same two people, and you're like, well, how's that kid the same kid as how did they come from the same people? Just because every kid's journey is so different. But it is hard. It's hard to go, this is a part of what I love to do. This is part of my passion for living. But you got to remember, but they are, again, these are the only people that can call me dad legitimately.
Yeah.
Forever. And that's the only unique thing that I have. If something happens to me tomorrow, AYSA will go on. There will be somebody else in that seat. But my kids will not have another dad.
Right.
They will have a dad type, a mentor type, dad likeness. Mm-hmm. But I am their dad. But you
are that. So when you think about that, you brought up a good point. It's hard.
Yeah.
What do you say? How do you inspire the man that's watching this?
Yeah.
That his job has taken the front seat, which is okay. We've all done. We've all been here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
His marriage is probably goes job, buddies, kids, marriage. Everything's out of whack.
Right.
To the dad cord though, what do you say to that guy to help him know, hey, you can do. You have what it takes. What does that look like?
Plan intentional time with your kids and with your wife, and calendar it. Everything. Some guys live by a calendar.
Yeah.
And I'm one. I'm a calendar guy. And so I make deliberate, and this is going to sound bad, but I text my wife in my calendar. It's literally on my calendar. So guys are like, man, you text your wife these random things. Yeah, I plan because life happens. And so I'm like, sometimes I get bing, 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 bing. I get an email, a text, and then I forget to do it.
You got all these things accomplished. You go home and
Distraction's just a weapon of the
your
enemy,
wife's
man.
upset.
Right.
You can't figure out why.
Right.
Like, where
Where's
we
the
get
disconnect?
off?
Right.
What happened?
Yeah, I haven't done anything that I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's good.
I think guys sometimes think like providing is just the pocketbook. No, providing is also love, care, selflessness. That's also a way of provision.
Asking.
Listening, be quiet, ask questions. And also the text of like, hey, you look good yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was awesome. Like, and it's not trying
Flirt.
to.
So you're saying flirt? Hey, men.
Flirt, man. Like,
You've been
you're
married
always
25
dating.
years.
You're always
Keep flirting.
dating.
Keep
Always.
pursuing.
It's never-
keep coming. I've got daughters.
Yeah.
This is what I want their husbands to get.
Correct. I want them to understand, like, dude, you never arrive as a husband, dad, businessman, whatever. You never arrive.
That's
when
so
you
good.
arrive, it's over. That's so true.
When you calendar time with your wife
Yeah.
and texting and doing things like that, you talked about your kids being different. Mine are different. One of them, they're both girls, but one of them, man, she just loves sports. She grew up in the field house as a kid for half her life, and so she loves to go to the football game or whatever. Like it's still, it's TIME, right? That's love.
Right.
So time with Molly can look like that. If I suggest to Lexi, hey, let's go on a road trip to a football game, she's looking at me like, do you even know who I am? Like she doesn't want to, she wants to go to dance to like maybe a concert, or let's go like to the American Girl doll store or something like that. They're just so different.
Right.
What are some things you do to hit those different styles? Or even maybe, hey, what could you do better?
Yeah.
I mean, you said nobody's arrived. You hadn't figured it all out.
No. So what I've figured out with my son, so I'll kind of start at the top. So he's my oldest. He's very much like my wife. My wife is very much an affirmation-driven person. And so I have to affirm him and who he is. But I learned this from a lady actually who was she raised 4 boys. She said, boys need adventure. One way or another, they're going to get it. They're either going to go get it in a way that is reckless, or you can control the adventure. I go, well, what does that mean? She said, well, you want them to look at you, and I'll never forget this. She said, you want them to, if you have any variance of faith in you, there has to be a point in your life where your son needs to come back to you and go, hey, Dad, I need help with this. And how do you do that? You take him into an environment that you're both exploring, but he has to lean on you. Versus like in this stuff, like in everyday life, he don't have to lean on me. He's 17. He knows how to manage things. But if you take him into, so what I did, the first thing we did, I took him shooting at a gun range. He had never had a gun before. So everything relied on me. So it was a time that says, every kid gets to a point where they're going, my parents are dumb. They don't know anything, right? Until they get older, and they're like, my parents are awesome, right?
Yeah. You preach, man. We live in it right now.
And so it's like what she told me was like, take him to a place that's controlled, but he still has to follow your leadership. Because if he does that, he will always follow your leadership. Because it's the relationship like we are with God. If like at the end of the day, we don't know. And so we have to trust that he's leading us the correct way.
Yeah.
And so I've done that. And with him, he just needs affirmation. Do I get it right all the time? No. My wife reminds me weekly that
he's like me. She's like, let me tell you what he loves, because he's like me. Yeah.
Correct. And so she'll confirm that, remember, he's like me. Now, my daughter is very much so like my first daughter, my oldest daughter is like me. You tell her what she can't do, she will show you that she can.
Yeah.
She'll go like, watch me do it. Watch me do it. You don't think I can? Oh, okay. That girl's not better than me. Watch me. I'll show you. I'm better than her. And that we speak the same vibe. I'm like, hey, how long is it going to take you to clean your room? I don't think you can get it done in 20 minutes. Psst, watch.
15 minutes later.
Boom, done.
Yeah.
Now what am I going to get for it? And then my youngest daughter is like, she's 4, so she's like whatever. She's more doily than my oldest daughter was. So we do the doll thing, and so we watch the girl shows, and so they're all just so different. And so I try to become all that. Like she likes to be read to and talked to in her bed. My first daughter would go, Hey, go to bed. She's like, all right, see you. I'm going to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. Not her. She wants to be over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So they're also different, but it's been fun to watch it all. But I would say with my oldest, he was the hardest because I was also going through the dad, like what is a dad supposed to do? Mm-hmm. I have no idea. No one has an actual book, right, of what to do with a dad. Because that's when I'm reading, I'm reading all this stuff and everybody saying, James Dobson saying something and then John Maxwell saying something different. I'm like, which one should I do? And part of me just come about it going, hey, just do the best you can with what you have and he'll get it at some point. Mm-hmm. Like he'll understand it.
Well, you use mentorship through this whole conversation.
Oh, yeah.
This lady that I'll never forget when she said this. I'll never forget when he told me that. I'll never. And so you lean into these things, and the moment they're telling you that, it doesn't click.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you've got this, for people that read books and people that they got a library up in here of resources to pull from when the time comes. The good thing is there's a Holy Spirit involved and there's access to, because it's almost like, do you need approval from man? No, but permissibility, like sometimes you just need that role model, father figure, mother figure, and you think back like, I can do this.
Somebody's telling you like, that a boy.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
Well, it's somebody that believes in you. You mentioned, I would categorize, somebody that tells you can't do something, that's motivation.
Yeah, for sure.
That's one, and that's powerful, goes a long way. But inspiration is like, I'm not motivated to prove people wrong. I'm actually proving people that believe in me right.
Correct.
And that's usually a smaller amount of people.
It is.
But man, there's more power in that.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about.
So my father-in-law always says this, and he's always said it, and I've always stuck with it. He's very much so more. He's probably the greatest dad figure I have. Mm-hmm. And so he always says, one man with faith is a majority. He would always say that. He's like, one man with faith is a majority.
That's awesome.
And I'm going, wait, what? How? He's like, one man with faith. If you got real faith, one man with faith is a majority. You just keep walking. All of a sudden, there's more people get behind you. You just got to keep walking. You just got to keep believing. You got to keep the faith. And that's the way he would always say, Jesus turned the world upside down with 12 dudes. 12 regular dudes. World got turned upside down. One man with faith is a majority.
That's good, man. You need to write a book.
Yeah.
Or finish the one you started.
Yeah, I'm starting. It started.
Is it it's a coach book?
The life book. It's a life coach book. Yep. It's literally things that I've learned through, just expectation. What do you expect out of you and yourself? And how do you learn because I had a severe stuttering problem when I was a kid, and don't let one thing that you had when you were younger be your setback, because I would go, all the stuff, so all those things make you who you are. You
mentioned too, you never been to the mill. We're sitting at the mill.
No, I've never been here ever. Hey, I didn't even know where it was.
Listen, on your calendar,
date night,
set a reminder.
Come to the mill.
Bring your wife to the mill on Thursday nights. Is today Thursday?
It's Tuesday.
Who knows? Yeah. You're watching this, it may be
right.
Rabbit. Thursday nights, they have steak night here.
Steak night.
You got to get online. You got to buy it in advance. It's very easy to do. You go to their website. You probably go to the mill on Facebook right here, or we can tag it or whatever. But yeah, man, it's a great night. And this time of year, when it's cooling off, fire pits out here. You get one of these silos. They got some light music playing.
So
Matt, Michelle Ellis.
That'll put some points in the deposit bank.
Men, if you're watching this will get you points too.
Got it.
Ladies, if your man needs, sometimes, hey, in all reality, ladies, you just got to tell him what you want him to do.
100%.
Hey, I want you to take me to the mill, and it's just like, we need help.
That'll preach.
We need all the help.
Don't
say, I don't care where we go, babe. Yes, you do.
Yes, you do care.
You care.
The first option is never right.
Yeah.
Because without my choice, we're going to Whataburger. We're bringing it back.
She doesn't want to go to Whataburger.
I know she doesn't.
I mean, she doesn't want to go there. And then Whataburger's great. If you're watching this and you run Whataburger, chill out.
Yeah.
But it is not the prime date night spot.
Don't give me the option, because I will.
They actually have a pickleball court back here. You were talking pickleball at AYSA. That's kind of changed the framework there.
It is.
Changed the age.
Well, what we wanted to do was what I've always been fascinated with. What are the sports you can do that bridges, there is no gender gap, there's gender or age gap, right? There's nothing.
Anybody can come in here and do it.
Anybody can play pickleball.
That's
and
right.
the crazy part about it, probably the older they are, the better they are.
Right.
Like the 18, 19
It's like
year
a
olds.
high school senior and above.
Yeah, and you're playing and you're thinking, if you just do the eye test like most athleticism, you're going, I could take them. Nope. They beat the brakes off of you. And you're going, what in the world happened there? Racquetball and pickleball, those two things, you cannot judge a book by its cover.
That's good. That's good. I'm terrible at it. I try. What happens to me is I try to always take the kill shot.
Right. Yeah.
And no matter, even I can tell myself as I'm fixing to do it, like not to do it, I still do it, man.
And for those that don't know, you have a gold medal.
I do have a gold medal. That's funny.
A Special Olympics gold
I
medal.
didn't know this.
My man code.
What'd you get a gold medal in?
Okay, so this is a fun story. Special Olympics, global brand that basically helps the special needs population of variance abilities.
Yeah.
So
we're talking real Special Olympics.
the actual Special Olympics,
like Colorado,
like international stuff.
Yeah, like the real.
I've been to the Olympics training center.
Yeah,
and they've
in
got a
Colorado
thing there.
Springs.
Yeah.
So this is a kind of a step below that.
Gotcha.
So Special Olympics, they were using our facility and said, "Hey, we need a basketball coach." I'm going, nah. I'm good. Like, I'm busy enough. I'm fine. They were like, please, we need somebody. We need somebody to step in and be a coach. I said, well, okay. All right, I'll do it. What do I need to do? Well, you got a weekend and then you got to spend a week in Disney World. I'm like, okay, sounds cool.
Deal.
Sign me up. So I get me and an actual basketball coach who actually is a profession as a basketball coach, Justin Reach from Abilene High. I said, hey, man, you want to help me coach the Olympic team? And he's like, for real? I was like, Special Olympics.
This is boys' head basketball coach.
Boys' head captain.
This is Randy Reese's family.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
And so we go to San Antonio for training camp. So training camp was at this place. I forget what it's called now, but so we do a training camp. And so we see our team. We're going, okay, we get to pick our team. There was Texas 1 and Texas 2. Texas 1 had all these phenomenal players on it. And so you got special needs and you got your athletes. Team 2 or B team. So we have our team. This guy has his team. The coach of the A team has our Texas 1 and we have Texas 2. I'm going, man, man, he got all the good players. So, okay, so we go to Orlando. We have one training camp, but we're supposed to practice with our team. We have 4 months to do it. We could never get our team to practice because they're spread out. We're all they're in Wichita and Amarillo and Dallas. Our team's all spread out over Texas. So we say, I'm sending them videos via GroupMe and Zoom. We're doing Zoom workouts, but we could never actually get the team together to practice.
Wow.
Ever. But everybody else is practicing and they're doing all these things. So we go to Orlando and we are playing these games and we're getting killed in all the preliminary stuff. Mm-hmm. We're getting killed. I'm like, man, we just can't figure this out. Like, what is the deal? Well, come bracket time, we're going, and we think at this time also, Texas 1, we're like, they're kind of cheating. And we knew it. We knew they were kind of cheating. So we talked to some people, some fans from Texas 2 were like, they're playing the non-Special Olympic athletes a little more than the Special Olympic athletes because it's about them. Anyway, they end up losing, and we're the only Texas team in. So we play Alaska, we play Arizona, and Arizona they were predicted to win after Texas 1 got out.
Yeah.
So we play them and we beat them. We get everybody when playoffs start.
Any idea how that happened?
We start clicking.
Well, then evidently wasn't coaching. They never practiced. They never could get them together. So
it started clicking. Playoffs, we were like, look, guys, if we lose, we go home. And so we just started all these rah-rah chants, and it was all working. We ended up we had 3 really good players. And so he was basically like our LeBron James. He was like the dude. So everything was designed to get him the ball. His name was Marcus. Get Marcus the ball. And then we had another guy named Jarius who was our defender. So we figured out, okay, here's our concoction of how to win these things. We put Jarius on their best player and he just wear them out. And he never got tired. And then we had another guy named Ryan who was our bruiser. We're like, Ryan, get in there and be physical. And Ryan would go in there and just be physical. So we figured out the way of winning. And so Arizona was massive. These guys were huge. We're like, oh, what are we going to do here? We're like, let's put Ryan on. Like, Ryan. And we talked to Ryan, you are not going to let this guy score. He's big, coach. We don't care. I mean, the whole Rudy concept, we just turn into like super coaches. We end up winning and we get the gold medal and they're going crazy.
Oh, man.
It was awesome. Our record was like 3. We have won, we were like 4-8. So we had lost all our games, but until bracket play, and then we took off, and we didn't lose anymore.
You win when it matters.
Man, look, big players make big plays in big games,
and that's so we're walking around like, that's what
a gold medal.
Yeah, knowing good and well, we were getting our head knocked off before that, but yeah, we ended up getting a gold medal at ESPN Sports in Orlando. So it was awesome. Yeah, and those guys we still visit. They still message me on Facebook and everything.
How long ago was this?
This was probably 3 years ago.
Post COVID.
Yeah, this is a little bit.
I hate that we
post-COVID.
got to date things by COVID.
Yeah,
it's most
Yeah, I think
everyone
it was like
on planet Earth can relate.
But it was a week long. It was grueling in Orlando. It was rough, but it was awesome at the end. It was so
great,
fun.
man.
If there's one thing that you can say that, one piece of wisdom that you it's almost automatic that you share with your teams and your kids that come through.
I would say the thing that I always try to remind them is you're more than the game. You're more than the game. Like, regardless, like, this game is awesome and sports are awesome and there's so many things you can learn from them, but it's just a game.
Right. At
the end of the day, the ball will stop for everybody. Who you are and what you've become via the game is who you are.
Yeah.
The sport will stop.
Good.
You do not just want to be known as a football player or a baseball player. You want to be known as Cameron, Zach, Brandon. I don't want to be known just as the basketball guy, although I fit in that vein. But I don't want people to come to my funeral and go, man, he was a heck of a coach, and that was it.
Yeah.
I think I failed. If that's all you got me is wins and losses.
That's so good, and that's kind of a good stamp of what we're really talking about. And I love thinking about that at the end of it. You've read the dash. Here's the year you were born, the year you die. Well, the dash is your story, and I've also subscribed to, if you get there and it's simply, man, this guy had a lot of great, but I was a great friend, a lot of great buddies. That's great, but there's no legacy in that. There's no generations. It's all lateral. Yeah. It's like, man, there's some people that fathered you, mentored you, men, women, same here, same for you. Yeah. Then you come into this season of life and you've got your boys, you got your huddle, I've got guys, you've got guys, and then your marriages kind of blossom in that same way. But then it's like, okay, our responsibility is to pour out in the next generation. Who am I fathering beyond even my own kids? Right. And now you're full circle. And then that, to me, is what a legacy is built upon, is family. I mean, that's what God came in and established. Yeah. Is he sent Jesus here so that we'd know him as dad. Yep. And so there's things work this way instead of this. I could unpack it a million different ways, but you're doing it. It's awesome. Thanks. And I think the catch is that you don't have to work at a church. No. You don't have to be a preacher. You don't have to get a seminary degree. You don't have to be a theologian. You need to be you. Yep. You need to be you. And if you can be you, then, man, that's enough. There's just got to be more purpose in what you do than just what you do. Yep. And so you're the right guy. They picked the right guy.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. If you hadn't got out to AYSA, you got to get out there. It's fun. What I love about it is it's also a community connector. Yeah. You walk in there on a night where there's like kids from all over, Haskell, Throckmorton, Jim Ned, Coleman. Yep. It's not just an Abilene. It's a real true hub. I think once those fields are built, you'll see a real big, now that you know where Abilene's at. Right, yeah. Between Midland, Odessa, and Lubbock, and West Texas, Amarillo to DFW, there's a really great connection point, which is all about the city. I mean, it brings people into our community. And all right, man. Well, hey, thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again. Yep.